Hey friends, thought I would jump on here for a quick live. It will not be long. This is just a quick one because your feedback to me has been that what you appreciate most is when I share the real stuff, the stuff that I do every day, the practices that are helpful for me, and mainly how do I work through the tough things. Like, it's all well and good to go outside and ground and go for a walk and, do some meditation, but what do I do when I'm really dysregulated? How do I deal with that? So that is what you guys have told me you appreciate the most when I share. And so right now I am being super vulnerable, and I had a great morning. So I'm going to go ahead and share what I did. So I had a great morning. We homeschooled. It's beautiful. The weather is amazing. All the windows are open. I was baking and cooking, and it was just a fantastic day. So there was no external trigger that pushed me into a state of dysregulation at all. Great day. So when I started feeling dysregulated, I knew it was coming from something inside. It was not something external. So that's the first thing that I would share just as a practical tip, is when you find that you are feeling off, and it doesn't even have to be anything really specific that you can put your finger on. So like for me, I didn't get a headache. I didn't have, oh no, my stomach starts hurting, or I could tell my heart is racing. There was not even any specific physical sensation that clued me in to the fact that I was dysregulated. It was just a feeling of being off. And that is the best way to describe it. It's like I'm off balance. I'm not centered. I'm not present. I'm not joyful. Like, usually the first thing that clues me in is that I start to feel a little bit dampened, a little bit less able to smile, laugh. The prosody in my voice kind of goes away. So right now you can hear my voice is very melodic. It goes up and down and kind of goes all over and has expression. And when I start to get dysregulated, this is when I know for me, when I get dysregulated, I almost always go to dorsal vagal. I don't always go to sympathetic fight or sympathetic flight. It's usually more of a dorsal vagal shutdown. That's for me personally. Everybody is different. So that prosody will go away and my voice will get very monotone, and I will have a really hard time making my facial expressions be cheerful and joyful, and I will have more of a flat affect, and it will be harder to laugh and smile, and then I'll start getting a little more irritable, and I'll feel really tired when I shouldn't feel tired. I haven't done anything to cause me to be tired. So that's how I know it's coming from my nervous system. It's not because I went and worked in the garden for 4 hours. It's external. So right now you can see that I'm good. I'm great. I'm back in a place of balance. And so how did I get from this place of dysregulation, a little bit of dipping into some dorsal, to back to regulation? So how it started for me today was, we had a great morning. We ate lunch, and I thought after lunch, it was such a beautiful day, I would go out and lay in our hammock for a little while. We have this beautiful hammock under a maple tree, and it's just stunning. So I went out and I laid, and I didn't even lay by myself. I laid with my 5-year-old, and so we had some wonderful snuggle time and co-regulation. We did some breath work together, and it was just super sweet. And so I should not have been feeling dysregulated after that. Well, sometimes you'll find as you're healing that when you start to do these practices and your autonomic nervous system begins to feel safe, your amygdala begins to feel safe, then sometimes you will find that the emotions start to surface, that your body says, okay, I'm safe enough now. We can think about this thing that happened last year, or we can begin to feel the emotions from this trauma that happened in the past, or this need that wasn't met. Because oftentimes trauma is not something that happens to you, it's something that you didn't receive. It can be both. And so I had this lovely time relaxing in the hammock, and she got down and went off and was playing, And I was laying there and I was thinking, okay, I really should be getting up and going in the house and getting ready for dinner, but I just can't get myself up and out of the hammock. I feel really just, like all the life just drained out of me. And so I thought maybe I just need to rest a little longer. So I rested a little longer and it just didn't help. So at that point I knew I wasn't tired. I wasn't tired and needing, it wasn't a type of tired that rest would fix. This was a type of tired that I knew I would need to employ some other practices. I would have to pull some other tools out of my tool belt. So I came in the house. I wasn't able to come in my room right away because there were other things that needed to be done. If you're a mom, you know you've got this and this and this other things that have to be done. And so I got all that stuff squared away. And I told my kids, no, you can do this. Go entertain yourselves with Legos or whatever. And I'm going to come in the bedroom and take care of myself. Hi, Clelia. So good to see you. So I came in here. And the first thing I did, and I noticed too, as I was doing those things, that the feeling was not going away. The feeling was intensifying. I was feeling more and more off. I was feeling more and more irritable. And I did not want to just push through that and become more irritable and lose my temper with the kids and sin in my speech or my attitudes. I didn't want to do that. So I knew what I needed to do was come in here and have some quiet time and do some regulation practices. So I came in, and the first thing I did was I remembered the book, the excellent book, I grab it here, by Cardin and Jen, Secret Language of the Body. And I'm about halfway through, and I've learned several new practices, which are fantastic, just to add to my arsenal. And the one that I started with is called the observing self. And this is where you imagine yourself distanced from yourself. So you imagine that you're watching yourself from a distance, and you are kind of talking through what you observe. And so what I did, and then there's two ways you can do this. You can do it that way where you're looking at yourself from far away, or you can also do it where you stand, and I'll just show you, because it always makes more sense to me when somebody shows me than when they just tell me. So this one, you stand in one location. Hopefully you can still hear me. So I would stand, let's say I'm standing here, and then what I would do is I would turn around and I would face where I was standing and talk to myself about myself and just say what I'm observing. So when I first began that practice, I was standing, kind of like this. This was my posture. And I was looking at myself. And I said, I can see that your shoulders are rounded, your head is kind of hung, and that's not my normal posture. My normal posture is upright and open. And I could definitely tell immediately, looking at myself, that my shoulders were rounded, my head was hung, my breath was shallow, very shallow. It wasn't fast, but it was very shallow and slow. So I was not getting a lot of oxygen to my brain. My hands were just hanging limply. I did not have much vitality or vigor. And so I'm just stating these things about myself, but to myself. So I would say, Angela, I am here with you, and I can see that. And I just started listing things, what I could see. I could see that your shoulders are rounded. I can see that your head is hanging. I can see that your breath is shallow. I can see that you feel cold and you're very tired. And then I said, as if I would a child, I said, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And I see you. And I began to do some havening, and immediately I felt the sting of tears welling up in my eyes as soon as I said, I see you and I'm with you and we're going to work through this together. And when I felt that, I immediately felt this ache of loneliness. And I said, I can see that you're lonely. I can see that you are so lonely. And that was when I really started crying. And so I said, that's okay. It's okay. And my body immediately wanted to move. And usually when I move to kind of upregulate, it's either it's shaking. So this is the somatic shaking. It's very, very, very helpful. This is one of the practices, but in the moment I started doing that, it did not feel right for me. It did not resonate. And so I shifted immediately, and I wanted to swing and sway. So I started doing the swinging, where you just do this. And I was able to immediately start taking some deeper breaths, started to feel things kind of moving. I got some goosebumps, and just continued to cry. And as I was swinging, I just said, it's okay. We don't need to change it. We don't need to fix it. Let's just sit with it. Let's just feel it. And that is usually what helps me move through those difficult emotions relatively quickly. I mean, this was just a few minutes ago, is when I don't try to change it. When I don't try to fix it. It was not, oh, you're lonely. Okay, what can we do? Let's call a friend. Let's, do this. Let's do that. No. It was, okay. Wow, we are lonely. What does that feel like in my body? What does that loneliness feel like? Where do I feel it in my body? What is its character? What are its qualities? Is it heavy? Does it have a color? Does it have a sensation associated with it? And just sitting with it and listening and being there for yourself. And as I did that, as I continued to do that, then the tears really started to come, and I started to realize that this wasn't loneliness that I was feeling right now. This was loneliness that was coming up from last year when I was very, very ill and I had no one. This was when we were in Utah and all of our friends and neighbors had abandoned us. There was a couple people that I thought were very close to me that just completely went radio silent when I was about to go on hospice, and they were not there for me. They were not there for our family during that time. And then my husband was very, very closed off and very shut down because his wife is dying, and I don't blame him at all. I have no anger towards him at all. I would have probably not handled it well if he was dying. And so he was not able to comfort me during that time. He provided for me. He took care of me. He took me places. He, did everything. He provided for my physical needs, but my emotional needs were absolutely not met during that time. And so I have so much pain from the loneliness of suffering and weeping alone in my room in agony, physical and mental agony, without someone. And I longed so much for him to come and just lay with me and hold me and comfort me. And he did that a couple of times. And that I was sick for like 5 years. And a couple of times he did that. And I think it was just too much for him to handle, and he couldn't do it. And I don't blame him at all. But it was hard, and I still have the pain from that. And so as I realized that this is where the loneliness is coming from, it's not right now, it's an old wound, and the body, the nervous system remembers even when the mind doesn't. And I cognitively had forgotten about that. I wasn't thinking about that. I had a wonderful day. That was not even on the radar at all. But my body knew. My body remembered. My nervous system knew. My cells held that pain inside them. And there's still more, and it'll keep coming up, and that's okay. And that is where, I've talked about this a lot, fear. That is where fear is truly the enemy, and it is from the enemy. And so when you begin to feel those feelings, oh, is it loneliness? Is it anger? Is it pain? Is it, what am I feeling? Whatever it is, to at that point choose, I'm not going to be afraid of it. It's just a feeling. It's just an uncomfortable energy in my body. And instead of panicking and fearing and wanting to run away from it or shut it down or dissociate or distract, we're going to sit with it. We're going to sit with it, and we're going to feel it, and we're going to move our body, and we're going to allow that energy to flow through our body, whether that's shaking or swinging or pushing against a wall. And so that's the next thing I did. After the swinging began to bring up those feelings and I started to realize this is what it is, it's tied to my husband not being there for me all those, well, this was just a little over a year ago, and then the years preceding. And so at that point, I realized I had a little bit of maybe anger in there too, and resentment, maybe some frustration. So then I took it to the wall, and I don't know if I think I can show you that. Yeah, because I did this the other day from this angle. So I should be able to show you what I did. So at this point, and I'll just speak louder so you can hear me. So at this point, I went to the wall, and this is where I just pushed all of my energy into the wall, and I allowed my muscles to just really tighten. And then I raised this leg up and contracted my abdomen for about 30 seconds. And then I switched into the other leg and just really breathing out. Even if you want to make a sound like or a vocalization as you're doing that. And while I'm doing that, I am just speaking out loud what my body's feeling. That yes, I was saying yes, it was so painful and you wanted, and I'm just bawling, but you needed this and you didn't get this. You wanted so badly for him to do this and you didn't get it and you didn't have it and you did not receive what you needed during that time. And so it's okay at the time, I wasn't able to express any of that. I was on my deathbed. He was my provider. I was not in a place where I felt safe to say those things to him. I probably should have, in hindsight, I probably should have just said, hey, honey, when I'm crying, when I'm really struggling, I really need this. And I did not communicate my needs. And so there you go. That's what I did. And by the time I was done pushing and just crying and allowing all those feelings to come out and realizing this is not about today, this is not about what's happening right now, this is about before, this is something old that's been in my body and it's coming out, and it was knocking at the door earlier with those whispers of fatigue and a little bit of the flat affect. It's starting to feel off a little bit. And if I had ignored that and gone on with my day and not done any of this, then when my husband came home, I would have been in a terrible mood. I would have probably snapped at him. I probably would have just been a bear to be around. And our Friday night, which is our family night, we usually do something fun as a family, I probably would have ruined it. So I am, by doing this, by stepping away and coming in here and doing these practices, I'm not just helping myself, I'm helping my husband and I'm helping my children and I'm honoring the Lord. And so, these tools are not just tools to help you feel physically better. They have been tools that have helped me in my walk with the Lord, not just in my faith, but in my practice, how I practically walk out my service to him in serving my family, in serving others, and in trusting him. And that's what it always comes down to is I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't need to go find a friend. I don't need to go, find some way to fix my loneliness. I am loved and I always have the Lord. And even if he took everyone else away, I have him and he's enough and he is all I need. And he has made my body and made your body so incredible, so fearfully and wonderfully made that we can use these tools and radically change how we feel in minutes. So that's all I had to share. Let me look through some of these comments before I get off. Thank you everyone for joining. Oh, let me see here. All right. Let me go through these. Okay, there was some comments. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. What if it is pain right now? Sorry, try not to accidentally. This Instagram Live is so finicky. I'm scared to touch anything and mess it up. What if it is pain right now? Okay, so those whispers, those messages from the body can come in any form. It can be what I described I experienced, or it can be a headache. It could be tension in your neck. It could be nausea. It could be any type of physical sensation. And the body always whispers before it screams. And none of us have been taught to listen to and to understand and translate the language of our bodies. And I'm only now learning that. So for years, my body was yelling at me. It was screaming at me with pain and with all 50 plus daily symptoms. I just made a list of them the other day because I don't want to forget them. And so, but that was my body saying, stop, listen to me, tend to my needs. And I just didn't know that. And so if I was feeling any type of physical sensation, I would treat it the same way. I would come to someplace private. I would do BASE, which is from Cardin and Jen's book. B stands for breath, A is action, S is sensation, and E is emotion. And then there's also mind and body. And so you're just checking in. That's a little acronym for checking in with your body. What is my breath doing? What does my body want to do? What's the action that I feel like I want to take? Do I want to punch a pillow? Do I want to scream? Do I want to curl up in a ball and hide from the world? Do I want to just go to bed and stay there? Those are all little clues. This is how you're listening to your body, and then you're learning to understand, what is my body saying to me? What do I need? And it's not something, unfortunately, that I can fully explain in this format, but the books that I recommend, Heal Your Nervous System by Linnea Passaler, The Secret Language of the Body, there is quite a bit of evolution in there, so I just skip over that part, but the rest of it is fantastic. And then, of course, a good nervous system program will teach you all those tools, and then I have a whole bunch of them in my reels. If you scroll back to when I first started sharing about the nervous system work that I was doing and my healing, there's lots in there, and then the captions are all packed. Like, I don't think any of my captions are just like a sentence or two. There might be one or two, but most of them are another whole big long, like you're getting a book. If you went through all of my reels and typed them all out or copied and pasted them all into a Word document, you would have a book. So there's a ton of free information that I've shared there. But that's a great question. Yeah, I would treat pain just like any other message from the body. Thank you for sharing. It really helps to hear and see these things. You're welcome. And I know, and that's why I do this, because I didn't have this. I'm sure it was out there. I just didn't know where to look, and I didn't have anyone modeling it for me. And so that's why I'm doing this for you guys, making myself vulnerable for you. Oh, Madeline, you are so welcome. Literally brought so much up for me, not being held through my illness. Yes, yes. And that is where, when I said trauma can be something that happens to you, or it could be something that didn't happen to you, something that you needed that you didn't get. Too little, too late, or too much, too soon. Two types of trauma. And so that for a lot of us who were ill for quite a while, we didn't have that. And so our bodies now are saying, hey, we needed that, and we're grieving that now. Now, when we feel healthier, when we feel safer, we can start to grieve those things that we didn't get before. What is your number one health tool to feel better? That is a loaded question, isn't it? So first of all, I would say I have a very different mindset than I used to have. It used to be about tools, and I did mention tools earlier because I do like to think of them that way. But I also don't like to think of health as something where there's one thing that you can do that's just going to make things easier, because it's all about listening to your body and giving your body whatever your body needs in the moment to help it work. So your body is designed to heal. And if we give it what it needs, it'll heal. If we don't give it what it needs, then it's going to keep knocking and keep screaming and keep giving us signals like symptoms. And the list could be 100 different things. And so that is entirely unique to you. And I know that's not the answer you wanted. It's not the answer any of us want. But I would say that the number one best thing that you can do for your body is not one single tool like this particular breath work or this particular vagus nerve exercise, but it is to study the nervous system and learn nervous system healing and learn how to support your nervous system. And there are multiple excellent nervous system programs out there. There's Heal by Jen and Cardin. There's Happy Without Histamine, or Brain Food is the one that I'm actually an admin in there now. That is the program that I did through with Luann Hopkinson. And so that's an excellent program. There's Primal Trust, there's DNRS. So there's a whole bunch of them, and you just have to find one that looks like it's right for you, and then learn the language of your body. Learn how to interpret what your body is saying to you so that you can then give it what it needs, because your body might be asking for something completely different than what my body is asking for right now. So that's why I can't just say it's this one tool or that tool. It's listening to your body so your body can tell you what is the number one tool, number one thing that it needs. So sorry I couldn't be more specific, but that's my best 2 cents. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, Maddie. I'm at the very beginning of my healing process. Can you list most things you have done for your nervous system and in which order? I am scared of working on traumas, but nervous system is not being ready for it yet. Yeah. So addressing trauma for me, came later, and that's something that can come later. And some people have asked, do you have to fix your trauma? Do you have to work on your trauma? Do you have to go to therapy before you can heal? And no, you do not. You can absolutely start to heal, and you can work on that trauma as it comes up, like it did for me just now. And this was a relatively minor one, but there were a lot of other much bigger ones that came up as my body felt safer. So as you heal, your body will feel safer, and those cellular memories that are stored in your tissues will start to come out. And usually it's when you feel the most safe, when you're in the most regulated state, when you're in a very parasympathetic state, maybe you're about to fall asleep. For me, many times it was right as I was drifting off to sleep. I would actually have just started to dream, and then all of a sudden I would have a memory and all the associated emotions. And so I would just stay there, and I would stay in bed, and I would just start havening. Sometimes I would just rock myself in bed, and I would just let myself cry, and I would verbalize anything that came up. And so that happened periodically throughout my healing. So it's not something that, and I did go to 3 sessions of ART, which is accelerated resolution therapy. It's like EMDR, but it's like EMDR on steroids. It's much, much faster. It works much better. You don't have to go for 20 sessions. Usually 3 to 5 sessions is what they recommend. And so I did do that. I feel like it was helpful, but I don't feel like it was necessary, in that I think I could have achieved the same amount of healing that I have without that. So it's something where I like to tell people, you don't really need anyone but you. And that's what's so empowering, is because we've been in the medical system for so long. We've been like, oh, I need this doctor to tell me what to do. I need this medication. I need this therapy. I need this chiropractic adjustment. I need this diet. I need this red light therapy. I need all these things in order to heal, all these people, all these specialists in order to heal. Where did that get us? I was on my deathbed 1 year ago, and I had all of that. I had access to all that. And I was still dying because I was missing the most important part of my healthcare team, me and you. And you have the same skills and the same tools at your disposal that I did. And you don't have to pay for them. They're free. You can use them. You can literally go in your bedroom and you can do these things. You can go outside and put your feet on the grass. You can put your face in the sun. You can breathe. You can move your body. Those are all free. It's just incredible. And so the things that I did, check out my nervous system highlight. I have documented my whole process there. Check out my healing highlight. I've also documented my process there. I shared several stories from when I very first began healing. And so I have in black and white, or in full color, I have right there where I was 2 weeks into beginning to heal and 6 weeks into beginning to heal. It's all documented, and I put it all in my healing highlight, and it's also in my reels and my live videos. My live videos, especially near the beginning about a year ago, they have a lot of information. So that's what I did. It's all right there. I mean, you can see it all. And I pretty much followed any nervous system program out there has the same basics, the same foundations. Identifying your brain loops, those maladaptive thought processes, and interrupting them and redirecting and changing how you're thinking about things, changing what language you're using, changing your speech about your symptoms, moving away from a place of fear and focus and panic and catastrophizing to a place of acceptance and trust and peace and joy. Those are just, I mean, people might hear that and go, oh, that sounds all, wishy-washy. That's not scientific. Well, I'm standing here today alive and a functional human being because of those things. So yeah, it's really incredible. I can't say enough good about it. Thank you for your message to Madeline, Catella Rose. That's so sweet. I love this community. I love how you guys support each other. It's just amazing. It's amazing. And this is what we have on my Patreon, in the Heart Song Renewed. It is not a nervous system program. It is like this. We have Zoom calls where we just chat with each other. Sometimes I'll share what I'm learning in the books. I share lots of different practices that I've done that have helped me. I've shared some of the emotional releases that I've had and what I did to work through those. I've shared lots and lots of typed posts if you like to just read. I have a lot of the practices that have been really helpful for me. And then we have a wonderful chat in there as well, where people can encourage one another and share things that they've used that they like. So it's a good complement to whatever nervous system program you're doing. If you don't feel like you're getting enough one-on-one support with your coach or your mentor or whoever you're doing the program through, and you just feel like you need more community, maybe somebody to encourage you and hold your hand. And then I also, a couple of the tiers include one-on-one phone conversations or video with me. So usually about 2 to 3 times a week, I'll have a call with one of my clients, and several of you guys are on here right now. And it's just so fun because I get to watch you guys heal, and it's like the best thing ever. It's so insanely amazing because I've experienced, and now I get to hold your hand while you guys do it, and goosebumps. It's incredible. So, all right, let's see if there's any other, such a safe space here. Thank you, Madeline. That's what I'm trying to do. DNRS is a type of brain retraining. It's a specific brain retraining program. It stands for Dynamic Neural Rewiring System. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's close to what it stands for. Where is this? Where is the Heart Song, the community? Is that what you're asking? If that's what you're asking, the link is in my bio. It just says, well, you'll see it. It's Heart Song Renewed Patreon, and it's the little private community that we have where I share a little more in depth, a little more vulnerable. This is certainly more vulnerable than I've been, I think, here publicly, where anybody in the world can watch, but we're more private in our little community. Yes, great. Okay, yep, there it is. You're most welcome. All right, I have got kiddos who have played with Legos long enough and need to come and find something else to do with their time. So I'm going to get off here. My hubby's going to be home soon. I'm going to make sure dinner's on and feel so much better. Oh, I love these tools. It's just so amazing. And I'm so excited for you guys to discover all of this. And so many of you are already getting there, and you're already getting a taste of what you have yet to experience. And it only gets better. And I'm more than a year into it. And my physical symptoms have been gone for a long time. But I am still loving healing. I'm loving every single day, feeling more and more able to manage myself and my emotions and my speech and my behavior. And I'm not perfect, and I certainly do still get dysregulated. But when I do, this is what I do. And you got to just see my process. So it may be different for you. There are so many tools, and that's the beauty of it, is you can just pick and choose the ones that resonate with you and create your own little custom care routine. So thank you guys for joining, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.